All right, phase 1 of 3. This is where the journey begins. I'm heading out here on this ice. I've got to make it over to that marina on the other side of that black shanty to go in there and begin my fishing. So it's quite a trek, but I can make it. Phase 1. Talk to you later. I think maybe instead of me doing all of this walking, pulling this, I might just need to drive out here. I gotta kind of think about that. And see. Well, I kind of think that that's about as far as I better go in this direction. I think I better turn around and head back in that direction. Over and out. Finally reached my destination among all the shanties. It was quite a walk, with others still trotting out here, trying to make it. Right over there, that's where I just came from. There was no fish biting there, so I came out here. And I think I'm going to do it right. Yeah, I'm going to cut my hose right here. Over and out. Yeah, this is when you get to on a warm day like this, and you get to coming off of the ice and you run into this water, and you know not to step on that. You got to walk around it, find a place so that you can get across it like about right here. Okay, there we go. Done.
News begins right now with a breaking news alert.
Breaking news, a violent spring storm causing major damage in Metro Detroit tonight. This incredible video sent to us by a Local 4 viewer from outside his window in Washington Township. As you can see, torrential amounts of rain and hail coming down, making it look like a virtual snowstorm tonight. It tops our news tonight at 11. You know it came through quick, but a spring storm earlier this evening certainly left its mark on parts of Metro Detroit. Right now, DTE...
A mountain up there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A little bit more. Yeah, come there. That's got to be pulled out. Kind of easy to pick up. Exactly.
More than 60,000 miles of veins, arteries, and capillaries went into making me me, the me that was forming in that belly. More cells than stars in the universe went into making me me, the me that was forming in the womb. A cacophony of elements like carbon and magnesium, zinc, etc., were stirred together by God in such an unfathomable way that life would emerge at the end of 9 months that made me me, the one that was forming in the belly. Do you not know how frail life is? Do you not know what God had to do to protect our ancestors because he wanted you and me to be here and here as you and me? The history of every preceding generation is in you and in me. Intonations, idiosyncrasies, mannerisms, skin colors, ability, all are in me because all who came before me, thus making me me, contributed to me. God protected our ancestors from the Black Death of Europe, from the slave ships from Africa, so that the exact you that he wanted you to be would arrive on the scene at just the time that he wanted you here, so that you could contribute your sentence to the story of life, so that the book will be completed with no gaps, no loss of continuity when the story of our life and existence here is told and retold. Does anybody know what it's like to find a gap in a story? You read the story, you get to the crescendo, and there, after your curiosity is piqued, there is a page missing in the story. Or television goes to black because of a power failure. Or the computer's battery die at the most inopportune time. What if a particular page in life's story was ripped away and there was no Henry Ford, hence no automobile, no Martin Luther King, hence a delayed civil rights movement, no Karol Joseph Wojtyła, therefore no Pope John II? What if this historical page was missing, and because men could not accept the fanciful tale of an angelic visitation, sought to end a pregnancy that took place outside of marriage, and because of that a baby was aborted named Jesus?
Hello, this is another edition of MACMA Matters, MACMA being the Macomb County Ministerial Alliance. Your host today is Pastor D.L. Bradley. The Macomb County Ministerial Alliance is a coalition of churches held together by a common goal and a common purpose. There are pastors that make up the alliance: Pastors Lambert, Tucker, Miller, Minor, Thompson, Standifer, Martin, Mack, Colbert, and of course yours truly. I'd like to at this time introduce to you our guests who are from Turning Point. I initially said that it was a shelter for homeless women, and you properly corrected me that it wasn't homeless women, but it was a shelter for homeless women, but it was a shelter for domestic violence, a shelter for those that are involved in domestic violence.
Okay, Reverend, this year you, instead of having a breakfast, the Ministerial Alliance decided to have a different sort of a breakfast.
Right.
Feed the homeless this morning.
Yes.
Can you tell us what was behind that decision?
Well, as we met with families that had needs, for example, we got with the families, we said to them, we're going to take you shopping, and when we take you shopping, whatever it is that you need for Christmas or whatever we want you to get. We were shocked to find out that families with children were not interested in gifts. They were interested in food. They were shopping for food. So this economy is such that families are hurting, and we thought that we could really show that by this time not feeding ourselves. I mean, that happens year long. Let's feed somebody other than ourselves. Let's get the politician looking in the face of the homeless, who we call our guests, and let the homeless tell them what the issues are. Now, when this is over, and they go back to their various offices, and they make their various laws, they can make their laws seeing the face of those
to
that
solve
they were
those
serving.
issues as we did 100 years ago.
Reverend Bradley? I don't believe that somebody should slap me in my face and then tell me I can't say ouch. I don't believe that somebody can spit in my face and then tell me I can't wipe the spit off of my face. The aggrieved person is the person that ultimately has to stand up first, and then everyone else can join and assist us. And that's what I'm talking about when I get back to the quiet, silent African-American community. What is it going to take to ignite us so that now we can stand up? All it takes is filling a civic center a couple of times where our faces are never seen, maybe one or two. I went, the first county commissioner meeting I went to just to find out how county government works. As soon as I walked through the door, a couple of commissioners came to me and said, "And for what agenda item are you here for?" So again, Mr. Mayor, be honorable, state what you told the pastors that you would state, and Mr. Milkovich, you should answer one of your constituents who asked you to speak up and to give your side concerning your racial comments. And we'll wait your standing up and doing that. Sit down, right there. A couple of meetings ago, Mr. Ricketts stood up for 15 minutes, and you let him speak for 20 to 40 minutes. And now you're going to have me sit down? Yes, please. Thank you.
Separation of church and state. But where does it come from? What does it mean? And do we have it in the United States? Hi, I'm Charles DeWandler, and welcome to Church and State. Today we're going to take a look at some of the most popular religions around the world and discuss the complex relationships between government and religion in Western history. Stay tuned.
Long after his death, that is verbatim what they cannot do with handguns. The hurtful things we do to each other.
This man,
all the major religions, co-guarantors of religious freedom.
I hate war.
Leaders to begin breaking away and forming their own churches as well. This event is known as the Protestant Reformation. And today, there are several Christian denominations throughout the world. To learn the difference between some of these denominations, I decided to go to the source and visit a few local churches, including Trinity Lutheran Church in Utica, where I spoke with Pastor Phil Charnitsky. Bethlehem Temple, an apostolic faith church in Clinton Township, where I spoke with Pastor D.L. Bradley. And Cross Current, a non-denominational church also in Clinton Township, where I spoke with Pastor Bill Revoir. Apostolic denomination is just one of many within the Pentecostal family, and Pentecostals don't consider themselves Protestant either.
under this umbrella of Pentecostal would be Apostolic, Church of God in Christ, Church of God, and other charismatic-like services.
The Pentecostal church broke away from Catholicism after the Reformation and really became popular in the 20th century. However, Pentecostals believe their church has roots before Catholicism, at an event referred to in the Bible as Pentecost.
The Pentecostal apostolic faith, church we say, began 50 days after the crucifixion of Jesus. The Catholic faith began at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. Close to 300 years after that.
Pentecostals aren't the only Christian denomination to assert that their church started at Pentecost, but Catholics still assert that they came first. Since Catholics believe that the Pope is the leader of their church, they trace their heritage back to the man they consider to be the first Pope, Peter. In Hebrew, the name Peter means rock. Therefore, when Jesus said, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church," Catholics interpret this decree as the founding of their church. weeks, if not months, before Pentecost. And then there's the more recent idea of non-denominational churches. All these different denominations break away from Catholicism in the first place. A lot of it was politics, deciding who should make the rules. Some of it was deciding which practices that church would or would not take part in. And some of it was deciding either which portions of the Bible were more important than others, or deciding on how literally they were going to interpret the Bible.
There are portions of Scripture that are clearer than others, and those portions that are less clear have definitely caused disagreements within the church, and always will. But I don't believe it's because they're meant to be interpreted in different ways. I think it's because we're challenged in really understanding what God means.
One question I made sure to ask was whether or not the Bible was open to interpretation.
In every age, the word is interpreted so that it speaks to that age. The word is ever old, but it is also ever new.
This is why you have different denominations, because they see the scriptures differently. So scriptures definitely are open to different interpretations.
They're not open for interpretation, they are open for revelation.
The author of a document or of a speech said what he meant and meant what he
Liberals
said.
tend to focus on the first half of the sentence, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, and conservatives tend to focus on the second portion of the sentence, Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Thomas Jefferson, one of the founders of this country and the man who would soon become our third president, referred to the First Amendment as a wall of separation between church and state. But some religious leaders today disagree.
Separation of church and state is one of those things that's not in our Constitution.
There is not one statement in the Bill of Rights, in the Constitution, that even remotely says that there should be a separation of church and state. It does not exist, nor can anyone come up with it. What they've come up with is a one or two sentences in a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to one of his friends.
For more information, I decided to head over to the law school at Wayne State University.
For religious freedom in this country, and hopefully has prevented possible religious persecution. But this country has still seen more than its share of other types of persecution.
To be something for the black man to be brought to this country and accept a religion or a faith that they who had him enslaved were followers of.
Some black Americans throughout the years have chosen not to be Christian. Sammy Davis Jr. was Jewish, and Muhammad Ali converted to Islam. But what is it about Christianity that so many others find appealing?
Somewhere in our experience, we look beyond the people that were doing what they were doing to us and saw a genuine love in a man in that Bible called Jesus. There were just so many things that says that this man that has that whip on us, he's not abiding by what's being preached on that Sunday morning. So I thank God that they led us in their churches, my grandfather, great-grandfather, and we were sitting in the back so that we could see this.
What is possibly the worst case of persecution in history took place in Europe during World War II. Hitler used propaganda films and other media to brainwash his soldiers into believing that Jews and other enemies of the state were to blame for Germany's problems. The Nazis constructed death camps throughout Europe where Jews were killed, 6 million in total, which amounted to half of all the Jews in Europe and 1/3 worldwide.
And the thing that caused sympathy, if not empathy, for the Jews to us and we for the Jews is they went through an Egyptian slavery and they went through a Holocaust.
The fundamental teachings of Islam, like Christianity and all other religions, condemn murder and terrorism.
I can say that they don't represent Islam, as terrorists of other religions don't represent other religions.
One cannot blame an entire group of people for what a person or a group within a group has done.
The God that I serve says that although I believe that abortion is murder, I respond to the person that does the abortion with love and don't go out and try to kill him like some Christians do and bomb his clinics. I pray for it. So the God that I'm talking about isn't the God that kidnaps people and cut their heads off, but a God that tells me if you slap me on the one cheek, turn the other cheek.
For someone that are more likely to be immoral because they lack the fear of God. But atheists and the non-religious disagree, saying that they don't do what's right in the hopes that they will be rewarded in the afterlife. They do what's right because it's the right thing to do for the good of society. So how does someone learn right from wrong when they aren't learning it from an organized religion?
I think people learn right from wrong out of their own experience of their own life. You know, we know what it feels like if somebody steals from us, so we know it's going to feel badly. Do you see?
Every man has a conscience. If you right now decided, right now, with your brain knowledge, I'm going to go around the corner and I'm going to rob that store, your conscience is going to tell you, I don't care what faith you are or no faith or atheist, your conscience is going to condemn you and your mama's going to be talking in your head saying, boy, I didn't raise you like that.
There is no
20th century, a plethora of interfaith groups began springing up throughout the United States and throughout the world. Their missions are similar, to create tolerance and understanding as well as establish common bonds between people of all beliefs. Groups like the National Council for Community and Justice, of which Hamid Dana is affiliated.
I felt it was important to work to try to help change the image of Islam for the American people because it's based on untruths and half-truths. Sometimes the impression people get from the media looking at the just bad parts, there are a lot of misunderstandings.
Every year, Temple Bethel joins with an African American church in downtown Detroit in a gospel Seder for Passover, where all of the music is gospel music, but we tell the story of the Exodus from Egypt.
Baptist pastor next door is my good friend. If what he believes is right, I'm going to hell. I'm his good friend. If what I believe is right, he's going to hell. But if he believes what he believes to the conviction of his heart, I believe he's okay. Because I believe if he ever found out I'm right, he'd change. And he believes that if I ever found out he was right, I would change, and I would.
Judaism is the best religion.
The U.S. Supreme Court declared that government displays of the Ten Commandments are unconstitutional if done for religious reasons. However, it is okay for government to display the Ten Commandments for secular purposes.
There's an irony there that those religious people who want it to be included have to say it's not religious, and people who want it eliminated say it's religious.
This thing about church and state is a tool of the devil to get prayer out of the schools, to get anything that has to do with Christendom out of civic centers, out of the halls of Congress.
We take the Ten Commandments, which is a moral law.
That blowing south wind